the theme of this conference has been all about empowering decision makers with data-driven decisions. How do we take the data and actually apply it to make a difference in policy? But what I want, because the theme today is focused on research, I've tailored my remarks to focus a little bit on the role that Esri is playing in research with this, in research and in collaboration. So I'm going to talk about a couple of those things as we move through. And I think Tom's presentation here helps set up some things I'll touch on around open science as well. So just Esri, I think it's important to point out that the reason that we're here, and actually the reason that our company even exists, is to try to help address that challenge of how do you take data and apply it to decision making, and how can we make it easier for you all to do that. So we're all about serving our users and making it easier for you to do the jobs that you do, whether it's in conservation or it's in business or it's in utilities. But how can we take the knowledge of spatial information, the science of GIS, and make it better and easier to help you do your jobs better and make a difference, so we all collectively make a difference in the world. That's the focus, and that's why we're here sharing and learning with you this week. And I think this graphic is actually similar to one that Tom shared, and one that what we heard throughout the week here is that everything we're doing here is not a linear process. It's really a circular process. And that when we look at this platform of GIS that we work on, it's all about this idea of gathering data, understanding that data, doing the analysis, the visualization, the mapping, and then doing the planning and design. Yesterday's keynote speaker talked about geodesign. How do we take that information, translate that into making decisions that are going to have a positive impact? Then doing that to make decisions, take action, and we repeat the process. It continues to go on and get better every time we iterate. So that's what we work on. And in building that platform to help you do your jobs, it's our job to keep up with the science, keep up with innovation, keep up with the new research, and take all that information through our experts and translate that into software that you can take advantage of these advancements. Whether these advancements are in the different types of data. We have more and more data in this world now than we know what to do with, or at least we struggle with how to make sense out of that data. So if we can look at that, build tools that help integrate that data and translate that into knowledge, everyone will win. And the computing environment is changing. So it's our job, part of our job is to figure out how do we take advantage of cloud computing? How do we make that easy? How do we make it accessible? How does our technology work in that environment? And many, many innovations in GIS, some that we see elsewhere and some that we are driving the innovation, whether it's integrating that real-time data, doing 3D mapping, venturing into more of those data cubes and the space-time component. How does all of that come together to make it easy, open, and accessible for you to do your jobs? And as we do this, one of the things Tom was talking about, the open science community and the platform, all this comes together so we can tie together this system of systems, whether it's connecting academia with business, with governments, with NGOs. All of this technology comes together to create this platform so you can build that ecosystem that crosses these boundaries between organizations and initiatives, crosses disciplines, and brings it all together. That's the vision that I think we're getting closer to. And on this platform, one of the things that, one of the great advancements is the ability to bring in all different types of data. We've been very focused here this week on Earth observations data, but if we can take imagery data, other Earth observations data, combine that with the vector data, with 3D data, with real-time Internet of Things sensor data, and big data, bring all of that together, we really have quite a pool of resources that we can apply to decision-making if we can figure out the tools to help us do that. So if we have that as an integrated platform, then we take all that data and we can spit it out, send it out to the rest of the community through apps that really bring us closer to that kind of applied decision making, whether those apps are in the field on your mobile device, whether they're on the desktop and you're doing desktop big predictive analytics, or you're creating story maps that are interactive and communicating with the executives. Or one thing that we've seen is incredibly popular now is the growing interest in dashboards. They synthesize that data, put it into maps, put it into kind of snapshot of statistics on status of monitoring things that are changing. But that's really engaging a new community of, I'd say, consumers of the data, not necessarily users, but consumers of that data. But that together of bringing the data in and then sharing it out through applications is really a very exciting area. And some of those applications can be very simple. This is just a video that's actually working here of a web application that takes Landsat imagery, and just by clicking these symbol buttons on the left-hand side, you can do renderings of the Landsat data for NDVI or for, I don't know even what we're looking at here. But you can interact with this just by having a web browser. You don't have to have any software on your own computer. But you, as the power users, the experienced, knowledgeable GIS developers, can create these simple applications that really bring the information to a much broader audience, and all done with very low bandwidth capacity. But you can all kind of share out that data through these simple, accessible applications that are very dynamic and engaging. I want to touch on a couple areas that Esri is investing a lot of time and energy and effort in the research area. Everybody likes to talk about machine learning and artificial intelligence. We want to tie the spatial data science with machine learning and see how we can derive more knowledge, more information from all these data sets that are out there by applying the science of the machine learning, and especially in the kind of in the imagery area, that fits very well, and then integrating with other external machine learning frameworks like TensorFlow and other things. At Esri, we don't want to create everything. We want to work with the best of breed. So in the big machine learning area, we figure out how to bring the spatial and integrate it in with the research that's happening in that area. And in big data, spatial analytics also, whether it's using the big data tools to do more feature analysis or the raster analytics, there's a lot more that can be done using that big data, and we want to help make it easier for you to capitalize on that. You don't need to figure out how all those connections work. If we can do that and then present you with tools through the software we provide, I think you'll be able to apply that knowledge to your challenges. I mentioned, too, the real-time data analytics. How do we bring that in? How do we have the software be able to read all these data inputs that are coming in every second or every minute or every day, whether it's monitoring some water levels or other things? And how do we tie that into an alerting system? If we're able to read and listen to all that data to come in and set some parameters so it flags something when something's out of line and it alerts you. But how does all that tie together so you can apply it and build those applications for your situation awareness and emergency operation centers or other things? Early flood warning systems, things like that can come into play here. And the last bit that I could get lost in this quite easily, but I think Tom will relate to this slide. This idea of the open science community and how do we bring the GIS world together with the open science world? We need to start speaking their language. We need to integrate R and SciPy and all these other things that the researchers know. How do we bring that in seamlessly to the tools that we provide through the Esri GIS platform? And this idea of the Python, and we'd heard about Jupyter notebooks, in the context of Digital Earth Africa earlier this week, this is something that Esri's been investing in, and we're very excited about having this in the platform now as well to make it easier for you all to share that scientific knowledge, your methodologies, your data, all in these kind of packaged up in notebooks to make it easier to share. Excuse me. So I think maybe in the panel discussion, we'll get into some more discussion about some of those research areas. And there's a lot more. I didn't even put anything in here. Another exciting area Tom brought up is the whole community of citizen science and how we can connect citizen scientists into this network of networks and feed their data in and bring it into the analytics as well. So that's an exciting area we're working on. I want to transition now into some of the collaborations that we have in place that help get to that last mile, as we've been talking about this week. And one area that Esri's had a long time partnership with, more informal partnership over the past 6 years, is supporting many of the projects of GEO. We've been involved with GEO for over 6 years, and I actually will take this opportunity to say we're very pleased that just this week the GEO Secretariat announced the first collection. I think there were six organizations, 6 companies that were just accepted into GEO Associate Membership status with GEO, and Esri is among them. And we're very proud to be part of that community more officially. So I'll touch on a few of these. One of the early ones we worked on with GEO and how we got involved was working on interoperability. Starting 6 years ago, they wanted to create the GEOS portal, the GEOS portal, and we wanted to make sure that it interoperates with the Esri users out in the community. If they're creating data and want to share that metadata and register it to the GEOS portal, we wanted to make sure it seamlessly happened and they didn't have to do a second round of work to do that. But we've progressed into many other areas of more applying the data, not just connecting up the portals. And one area we have partnered with the USGS in the United States when the GEO Secretariat was very interested and made a primary initiative on the on ecosystems. So we need to have a better way to manage ecosystems, but the first acknowledgement is you can't manage them if you haven't mapped them. If you don't know where they are, you don't understand the ecosystems, that's the first step. So we partnered with the as I said, with USGS on this initiative to do a global mapping of the ecological land units of the world. And this combines many different physical features across the globe on bedrock, landform, geology, all these things that come together, and now we have this global data set. It's out there and available for researchers to use. It's available as a service. And then we've moved on from the land to the water. So the world's oceans have been mapped in 3D, taking 7 different variables for the marine ecology to create ecological marine units that are 3-dimensional for our oceans. And that's also available for the globe as an interactive dynamic service. And then we've also created applications for each of these. I should say before I move on, we're currently now working on the coastal ecological marine units. And I believe after that one's wrapped up, we will do freshwater units. So this is something that's been an ongoing project for years. One thing I wanted to point out, when we do this, one thing is to create the data. And that's something USGS coming into this and GEO asked to help figure out a way to create this great data. We said that creating the data isn't enough. So we had to create these applications. The large one here is taking the ecological land units and then create an application so you point anywhere on the map, it'll show you the bioclimate, the landform, the rock type, and the land cover for that place on the Earth. Now, can we take it to a mobile phone? So we created an application for the phone so you can be out there, click, here's where I am, tell me what I'm in, what ecological land unit am I in? And we've done the same thing with the ecological marine unit. So trying to take that data to the next level by creating and applications to make it more and more accessible, understandable, and usable. Another collaboration is with GeoGlows. And here we've been working on a global stream flow forecasting project. It's been ongoing, working with quite a team of partners where we take ECMWF's daily rainfall forecast, do the modeling, partnering with BYU, the university in the United States, and then we create services. This may blow things up because I think it has but it takes all these different variables, translates that into a dynamic service of daily stream flow forecast, which then could be shared out to local governments, NGOs, other MET services. I'll click through this. This actually animates. I'm going to skip that because I don't want it to trash the presentation here. But you can actually see in one of the applications from this, the daily stream flow and animate it over time also to see where there are flood areas happening or projected. The last one I won't talk about. We've heard much about the Africa Geoportal and integration with the Digital Earth Africa. When we were learning about the Data Cube, Digital Earth Africa effort, we wanted to make sure that our user community had easy access to that data, to amplify usage of that data. So bringing it in so you can use it with the tools that you're already accustomed to, it'll be another incredibly rich data source, and we continue to grow that partnership. I think maybe the last one, the SDGs. We've heard a lot of talk about SDGs this week as well. And we've been working with the UN Statistics Division to they have a vision of creating this federated system for SDGs, where it's a series of open data hubs that are country-led and country-developed, country-led. And then there's a template. We've created a template, so there are more and more of these countries adopting this template, making it their own, focusing on the issues that are important to them, using the tools like story maps to communicate SDG reporting, creating information products that actually decision makers can understand to start to draw decisions or make decisions. Here's an example actually from Mexico, but there are a growing number of these. You can see here Tanzania is on board with this, implementing the template for SDGs, and I think there are maybe 20 or 30, close to 30 countries working on this now. But as we developed it with the first few countries, we learn, we modify that template, and it's out there and available, and then they can customize and tailor it from there. And building this hub, then it also helps those countries be able to roll up their reporting to the UN, to the broader, the umbrella UN SDG hub. Another kind of enabling program in partnership here to make resource-constrained countries have more access to technology. We have 2 more grant programs to help modernize the official statistics programs, as well as one for land administration. I think Kenya and Mozambique are already part of that land one. And the last collaboration partnership is one that was just announced fairly recently, something that is kind of near and dear to folks in this part of the country, or this part of the world. And actually, at the Esri User Conference this summer, we had a fabulous, an incredible presentation by Africa Parks. I encourage you to Google this and look at the YouTube video of their presentation. It was really impressive. But here it's looking at the challenges in managing the parks here, and how do you manage it for conservation or manage it for enforcement, and also do it in an eco-friendly, eco-tourism encouraging way. So we understand a lot of data sources need to come together to do different kinds of applications. We worked with Africa Parks and others to synthesize that down to this set of solutions or templates to make it easier, to make it faster, to have a solution to help them manage infrastructure, do their outreach and education on ecotourism, or to do operations management and protection, whether it's for protection or ecology. And there's a website you can learn about that. And now I really am wrapping up. One of the things, since we're talking about learning, education, research, Esri is very committed to extending lifelong learning and doing what we can, whether it's publishing books on subject matter topics or it's creating more and more online learning, either full courses or what we're doing more of now are these learn lessons. And not just teaching technology, like how do you do this in the software, but how do you solve this problem? We're working with, say, a particular SDG. You want to understand this water scarcity issue. Here, let's work through a workflow in about an hour and a half and teach you how to do it. So there are a lot of resources there I encourage you to take a look at. And of course, we've been committed to education at not just the university level, but a lot of focus in the last several years on educating K-12. They're our future. If we can get them educated, we're all going to be in a better place. So we've made a commitment of donating our software to every school. Well, I guess now every K-12 school in the world has access to the Esri online platform. They can start learning at a younger age, do incredible research at the university level, and work into these jobs supporting government, NGOs, and others as data smart citizens. All of this coming back to setting us up to be able to help bring that data-driven decision-making to our leaders in the policy areas, whether it's in public health surveillance, urban development, water resources, disaster resilience, food security. We're seeing these things come up, incredible work in all these areas. And you're all contributing to that, and we want to do our part to provide you with tools and trainings and other things to help make you more successful in the jobs you have to do, so we can all make a difference in the world. So thank you very much.